in junior high school, I had a group called, it was a girls doo-wop group called the Cameos, myself and 3 Puerto Rican girls that were in my class. And we did a lot of Everly Brothers tunes. We did it a cappella, at the school assemblies we sang, and did a lot of these early doo-wop tunes. And then in high school, I went to a high school in a different neighborhood called Hunter High, and it was an all-girls school. I lost track of those gals and formed another doo-wop group with 3 other girls I met in high school, and called it the Cashmeres. We thought that sounded very classy, and I wrote, I don't know, a couple of dozen very simple doo-wop kind of songs. This was pre-Bob Dylan, so the bar was not very high as far as how brilliant you had to be to write a song. You could pretty much rhyme moon and June and spoon and put a few doo-wops in, and you had a good song there. And we actually got dressed up every day after school, lied to our parents, told them we were going to the library to do a book report or something like that, and then we would go down to the Brill Building, which is right in the heart of Tin Pan Alley in Midtown Manhattan, and we had these sexy little outfits. They were tight white sweaters with C. We sewed a velvet C on the front for cashmeres, and tight black skirts and stockings with seams and little open-toed flats, and we were pretty hot stuff. And we would just go into the Brill Building, look on the directory. There were a lot of publishing houses and small record companies in that building. We actually got a guy to say that he would manage us, and he got us a record deal. We also did some backup singing for Jerry Butler, and all this without our parents having a clue, right? So finally the day comes, he gets us a little deal with Gone Records. And of course we're only 15 and 16 years old, so we need our parents to come down and sign. And so I told my parents, it was a Sunday morning, and I had to confess, all those times I said I was at the library, told them the whole story and said, so all the parents are meeting uptown to sign a contract. And my Italian mother said, oh, no, you don't. She told my dad, watch your daughter, I'm going uptown. She goes uptown and put an abrupt end to my early aspiring rock and roll career, which absolutely shattered me at the time, but in retrospect, I actually met a lot of musicians later on in life who had gone on those rock and roll tours, on those tour buses, and they said, your mama, that had Annette Funicello and the 5 Satins and the 5 Cadillacs and all the early rock and roll groups, and they said, your mom probably did you a big favor. They said they saw things on there that my mother accurately imagined. So anyway, so that was the end of my rock and roll aspirations for a while. I was pretty pissed off and heartbroken about the whole thing for a while, but at that same time, the really cool R&B started being co-opted by record companies said, oh, this teen music's really, the big thing. And so all of a sudden, Elvis gets drafted, and he's replaced by people like Fabian and Pat Boone, and all of a sudden you have Pat Boone singing Little Richard songs and kind of pretty whitewashed versions of it. So the music that had originally inspired and excited me was getting kind of co-opted and whitewashed, and so I was naturally losing interest. And just about that time, I noticed something going on in my own neighborhood, which was Greenwich Village. Every Sunday in Washington Square Park, which was the neighborhood park, musicians were gathering. It was what we now, in retrospect, laughingly call the folk scare of the early 60s. And every Sunday afternoon you could see there was a big fountain in the middle of Washington Square, and every Sunday afternoon people would gather in little clumps and groups, and there was people playing bluegrass, people playing old-timey music, there were Italian guys singing old Solo Mio with mandolins, there was blues, there was Delta blues, there was a lot of protest folk music, a la Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger kind of protest music and topical songs. And so all of a sudden it opened a whole new world to me, and I started becoming very, very enamored of that kind of music. Years later, when I got a gold record and a lot of Grammy nominations for Midnight at the Oasis, all of a sudden my parents, at that point, my mom couldn't get on a city bus without somebody hearing about that she was my mom, you know. They became very proud of me.